Hi, I'm Kenzie. I read Factfulness. I really liked it, so I guess we should just jump right in since it's not a lot of time. But okay, so what I'm gonna do, I think, is kind of talk about some of my favorite of the instincts that they just talked about, and then I'll go over like some of my favorite points and stuff like that. So, I guess starting out with the fear instinct, what really stood out to me about that was how the blame instinct like piggybacked onto it. That's what stood out to me. So it was like how the different levels affected our fears and affect like the legitimacy of them, sort of like level 1 or 2. If you're scared of snakes, you actually have like a reason to be scared of snakes because you don't have the same health care as somebody on level 4 had. So that's what stood out to me about the fear instinct, and that one was one of my favorite ones to read about. I just thought it was really interesting because I'm into that sort of thing. And then my like number one favorite instinct was the single perspective instinct. It's kind of like a recurring theme, I feel like, through a lot of my classes this semester, and in this class too, and it kind of in the book too. So first, I guess, in the book, obviously it's a collaboration between Hans, Ola, and Anna, and they kind of talk about, in the author's note, a little bit about like how all their perspectives and opinions and arguments had to come together to form one conclusion, and like by doing that they were able to get a clear conclusion that wasn't biased and was based on the facts and stuff. So I thought that was really cool. And then the other thing, in this class, like we've seen it in the Freakonomics podcasts too, so like that kind of brought it all back. And then with the instincts too, they all had to fit together to create like a bigger thing. So I thought that kind of theme was really interesting. And then in another one of my classes, I had to watch TED Talk, and it talked about this woman who had come from Africa, and when she got to America, there are a lot of preconceived stereotypes of how people thought she should be, or like things they thought that she should know. And I thought that was really interesting because she kind of talked about how there had always been a single story passed down about African culture. And I don't know, it was just really interesting to see how she was explaining also you have to get lots of different perspectives. So that's something that's been kind of like on my mind lately in life in general. The other one I want to talk about was the blame instinct, if I can find it. I guess I don't really need to find it, but it kind of talked about how a lot of times we want to blame the who instead of the why. And I thought that was really interesting, like how if we talk about it on more of a social justice level, if you want to say that, like especially with Black Lives Matter right now, a lot of people want to blame cops or blame Donald Trump because they're like, the faces put with these things. But in reality, it's just like institutionalized racism, and it really is the system, and it's not the who. So they're focusing on like the who and not the why. So I thought it was kind of cool to make that connection. And I mean, there's a lot of other things that you can connect it to too, but that's just the one that kind of stood out to me the most right now. I know I'm talking kind of fast, sorry, I just want to get everything in. Okay, and then I want to talk about the introduction and not the outro, but the last chapter before that, the Factfulness and Practice. That those two for me were my favorite parts of the book, just because I'm like the type of person that learns from big picture and then I can get into the small details. So for me, those two pieces like really brought the entire book together in a way that I understood everything else better. So the introduction is really interesting to read. The whole time I was kind of like, wow. But then at the end is where I was like, holy crap, like this is kind of bad. The story about the woman making such a big difference for her whole village, for him and his life, like she by speaking up and by saying what she knew, by speaking like from truth, she was able to make such a big impact, and I think that was the whole point of the book, really. So I thought that was kind of, that was like powerful as well. And then after reading that, obviously I thought the dedication at the beginning was kind of cool. I drew a little smiley face next to it because I was like, Because at first when I opened it and I read it, because I always like to read the dedications, I was like, what the heck? So that was kind of cool. The outro was sad. The outro was pretty sad, but I think that it was important that they put it in there because it made it more impactful. Like, this was really his life's work. Like, this is his one message that he wanted to pass on. And I think by doing that, they really, pushed it into your head more. So I think that was a really great way to end the book. And yeah, I really liked it, and I probably would have liked to read it if it wouldn't have been for a class, which I love it when that happens, because I'm actually interested in the work that I'm doing. So yeah,